a full-blown PoE crash. Full-blown. Like the entire thing locked up, and it basically made it where I was completely unable to see anything whatsoever. So we should be good to go now. I'm just double checking to make sure we are live on both. Okay, that was the previous one. Okay, it looks like we are back and live. So welcome. Sorry about everything not starting smoothly at 3 o'clock. Unfortunately, technical issues sometimes just happen with something like this. So, hey, how's it going? So we're gonna give it a few minutes, kind of to go over where I am at with day one of gearing. I stopped playing last night. I guess it's probably around midnight. No, I guess it's like 1. Um, so we have just minion damage and spell damage on wand. We have +2 to AoE helm, which is fantastic. The shrine buff only affects you. It doesn't actually affect your minions, unfortunately. Then we have a Shaper Shield with ES3 covered on block. We have Corpse Walker Boots, which are just fantastic, even though we don't have the Blood Offering or the Queen's Hunger yet. Then we have just a 4-link chest, 4-link gloves, and then we do have Darkness Enthroned with a couple of Ghastlies, one with Taunt and one with Res, and then life and minion fizz damage. Then just kind of generic on the flask situation. I am still using a mana flask solely because we have not got to, I have not got to Uber Lab. And Uber Lab's where we get Essence Glen, which will get rid of our need for the actual mana part. And it gives us a whole bunch of regen as well, which is fantastic. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at here. We'll just do a couple of maps with it so y'all can kind of see how it's going. I do already have Glancing Blows, and we're already at max block. I have most of the minion nodes. I am missing these 2 for duration. And then I'll go up here next and throw in a cluster. I have actually already got a cluster, which is very surprising, even though it's not good yet. But yeah, if y'all have any questions whatsoever while we're going through this before we start with the giveaway, feel free to ask. Feel free. And where I'm getting so it makes them move up more, and it makes them a little less passive. it doesn't necessarily mean they will attack more often. To get them to attack more often, it would be more like just generic minion speed is what would get their actual casting. You can also use the minion speed support gem that does add cast speed as well as the attack speed. So it does work even for them. And because we're getting the stuff where that applies to us as well, it also increases our cast speed. I wouldn't recommend going that route until you're at least a 5 or a 6 link, though. And then once we get done with this one, I'll kind of show y'all where I'm at on the Atlas passive. Pretty well, actually. Pretty well. I'm very happy with it. It is not fully up and running yet, but a lot of that is just time gated. I'm only at like 72. So I'm still pretty early on into the build. And we're obviously missing some kind of critical uniques, but that's to be expected for where we're at in League. And Aegis was surprisingly expensive. Yeah. The other thing y'all can do, like, because Aegis is kind of expensive right now, if you don't happen to Luxac into a Shaper Shield, the other thing you can do is you can absolutely, instead of going Commander of Darkness, you can absolutely get Mistress of Sacrifice and use Bone Offering on yourself. And I'm doing a little bit, like, that's where this build kicks off, is the boss damage. Like, it was like basically instant deleting bosses. Where we're just phasing them, which is fantastic. That's kind of where we want to be at. It's going really well. How's your day going? Yo, how's it going, guys? So the one thing I will say about this is most of the time you're going to end up pretty well cleared, just because even if you're missing something, your minions normally won't, which is fantastic. It just makes, like, this is very, very enjoyable League start for me, just because it's been very, very smooth. Yeah, it really is. It really is. I've been super impressed with it. It's performing better than I was expected by a very large margin. I did get Shaper Shield, so I did go Glancing Blows already, but the Aegis is really expensive right now. I was not expecting it to be this expensive. I don't think I've ever seen it this expensive on League Start. No, I'm staying Absolution. One of the buddies I play with, Orange, is playing Skelly Mages. The difference between the two is Skelly Mages has much better clear than Absolution does. Absolution is a much better boss killer than Skelly Mages are. And I'm basically wanting to do the new bosses. Like, that was kind of my goal this league, is to be able to do all the new bosses and get content of that out. So hopefully I'll get there pretty soon. I'm planning on going pretty hard today. So hopefully we are at bosses pretty soon. I'm hoping I get to there. Yes, Skilling Mages is basically a totem build. Absolutely it is. Oh, the bot's set up for the wrong POB. I had everything so clean for YouTube, and it's not as clean. So for Spectres, I would suggest the Host and Carnage Chieftain early on. And then once you get Drox, you can add in an Arena Master. That comes from the Drox portals, so that will be later on. But you can easily just run like 2 hosts or 2 chieftains until you get to that point. Like once you have 3 specters, like right now I have, I believe, 2 hosts. But I've gone back and forth. Hosts give you frenzies, and chieftain and carnage chieftains give you the power charges. So those two, it's basically just support specters is what you're trying to play here. And as you can tell, like when something's kind of tanky, I just kind of roll up into it. And yes, it's 6666 is the Spectre Bank channel. The other thing is these two come from either Act 2 or Act 7. So you can get them in Act 2 in the Old Fields and Act 7 in the Ashen Fields. So if you need the Spectres, that's where you get them. They're pretty easy to get. And don't worry about them too early on because they're just going to die. Like once they are able to be supported by minion life, that's kind of when you want to really worry about trying to keep them up and around because they just die a lot early. And it's just like the mechanic of the Spectre. They gain a lot of life with levels. So don't worry about that part too much, as it will get a lot easier as you get levels just naturally. Nice. Nice. Well, I hope the lucky thong pays off. I hope the lucky thong pays off. And in case y'all are wondering, like, why a comment might not seem that I'm responding to from one channel or the other, it's because I'm dual streaming right now to Twitch and YouTube. So I'm live on both. So you might have some back and forth stuff that is a little bit out of context, and for that I apologize. I don't think they've made a tool like for you guys where you can see all the chats going exactly at the same time. Let's get this breach. Also, Convocation is probably the most underrated damage source. Another thing you can do, like what I'm doing right now, since I don't have Trigger Wand, is you'll notice that I'm manually dropping Orb of Storms. What the manual Orb of Storms is attached to is Calling Strike. And so it just makes it that much easier for the really tanky stuff to die. I also have Culling Strike on my zombies, I believe, right now, too. Which is just nice. It's nice. It helps a lot, especially early on when your damage isn't the greatest. Makes life very, very easy. Very, very easy, which is what you're looking for. But as you can tell, the bosses just really go down pretty quickly. Which is exactly what I'm wanting it to do. So as far as the Atlas, I'm doing the exact same thing that I was talking about in the build guide. I'm filling out the stuff that gives me the guaranteed stuff first. So next I'm going to get Harbinger, and then I'm going to pat down here and start working on the betrayal stuff. And I'll pat up here and just keep getting like all the betrayal stuff. Once that's done, I'll start filling out the bossing stuff like this guy and this guy. And then I'll path through. Or no, I'm pathing up top. I'll path up top and then I'll start filling out this one and this one. And then we'll fill out all this stuff up here and come down and get all this good stuff. But yeah. I'm doing wonderful, Robert. I'm glad you're doing good too. I love the energy. Absolutely love the energy. Let's see if we get any good unveils. Hopefully we do. Give me an extra life craft. That region's actually nice. I don't know if I'll ever use it, but it's nice to have. No, I have not gone to it yet. I'll get there. I'm hoping to like get those today. Like I really am hoping to get to that part today. Kind of the goal. Which WoW boss mechanic is it? Like Ragnaros? Like old school WoW or like new WoW? Because those are very different things. Oof. And Lighty is a really good player. Lighty's a really good player. I think he was everybody's expected winner. Yeah, that was the reason I was really wanting something that had like good region as well as block, is so I could avoid that stuff. So what I'm giving away is actually one of the supporter packs. It's the Elite Emberkeep supporter pack. So it's essentially good for everybody. It gives you the cosmetic armor, the weapon effect, as well as I think it's 600 points. So it's just a cosmetic giveaway thing. Basically, originally I was trying to give away a headhunter, and I got shot down on that one. And so this is kind of my fallback. I finally got it took a little bit of convincing, but I finally got GGG to agree to let me do this as long as it was like self-sponsored. Ooh, I like moving through the gaps. I think that's a great mechanic. So it's like a for this, it's kind of like a super Hydra. I like that. I like that a lot. So the plan for the new bosses, once I'm able to do them and get video of that, is I do plan on putting out hopefully very thorough build guides. I did one for Cirrus already because I had one of my friends that was returning, and like when I was trying to explain the Cirrus fight, I realized it's legitimately easier to make a video than it is to try to explain that fight without someone seeing it. And so that's kind of the plan for these as well. And that's why I went boss killer. What was Lighty playing? Do you all know? Because I know I've seen several people playing Absolution. I've seen several people playing EA Ballistas. So basically, for giving away the headhunter, the reason they shot me down was they said that it was effectively considered like RMT, and they're very against RMT as a company, which I get. Because basically, even if I'm giving away on stream, there's no proof that like there wasn't a side basically agreement or whatever. And they're just worried about anything that could possibly have an outcome of RMT, which is why I am doing this supporter pack. So no, like we can't give away any in-game items whatsoever. They will not allow us to do that. So like the only thing we can do for a giveaway is supporter packs. Yeah, they're very, very, very against them. And so